polishing powders, mostly polishing powders. I have a few other things to talk about as well, but I have 4 polishing powders to look at. We're going to be looking at 5X, which is basically like a generic 5X. This is the one I like. It's kind of a red one, but there's a lot of them. We actually do use a yellow one as well. MB12 caliber. This is a wonderful, very quick wet to dry polish that will polish most marbles. Everybody should have this in their truck. The next one is Easy Polish. This is MB22 Easy Polish. This is a light powder with not a lot of heat. It is great for sensitive stones. It's great for beginners. MB also has one called MB0. I don't have it with me today. I'm going to do one with MB0 in the future. And then I also have oxalic acid. Now, oxalic acid is something I've been using for a long time. What that does is it kind of kicks up these polishes, or it can act on its own. I'm just going to do a quick demo with the oxalic acid, because when you use the oxalic acid, you use it a lot like the MB12. It's wet to dry, and you could also just mix it in with the polishing powder if you're not getting enough heat on your polishing powder. Now, one thing I'd like to show you is this is a vanity that we've done, and that vanity, if it was in a home, we would want to make sure that we're not throwing stuff all over the place. I'm just assuming, this is the back of the vanity, so this would be like where the mirrors and the backsplash would be. This is the front of the vanity. This is where everything would be thrown. So I built this little dam here. I want to protect this green screen. The green screen's only there to kind of get rid of the distraction from the previous video. There was just tons of different colors and lighting and stuff, so I just put this green screen here. I'm not really doing much with it, but I just want to make sure that it's a little bit easier to see me and talk to me. Hopefully we have a good sound going, because I didn't test the sound, so maybe I'm going to do this whole thing and not have any sound. I do show the sound reader on my monitor, but anyways. Okay, so there's a couple of things that we're going to talk about. Let me do the down. Let me show you the down camera. Usually, there's a lot of different machines that you can use. These two are the most common. Milwaukee. It's a wonderful machine. It has a low end torque that is not very strong. So what that means is there's a dial. It goes from 1 to 6. It's a super reliable machine, but when on the low end, you can push down on it and stop the machine. So you're going to run this machine, if you do run it at 2 or 3 on the dial, it is a little faster, and you do have to push down to slow it down. So this is not normally used on countertops like this. If it's just a quick counter, we use the Makita, and I'm going to tell you why, because both of these machines are great, but when you set this aside, but when you're running the Makita has stronger low-end torque. So the number 1 is going to give you a more consistent rotation, so that when you're polishing, you don't have to constantly be playing with the trigger and be playing with the trigger and be playing with the amount of water and the pressure. You can just work consistently. You don't even have to put a lot of pressure down with the Makita, but when you do, you can dial it up a little bit, and it's a very consistent movement. Also, one of the things I like about the Makita is it has these little handles. Now, the new Makitas are coming in. I think this is the code on this one is the 9227C. The new Makitas are the 9237Cs, I think, or 932. I think it's 9237Cs. They're great machines, but they have these black covers on them, and what the black cover does is it redirects the air that's coming out of the machine. We tend to pull those off because I like this. I like this handle. I actually learned this trick when I'm running a machine from Cameron to Mill. We were partners for a while at Easy Stone Care, and now he's working at MB Stone Care, a great company on the East Coast. So this will allow you, using the machine like this, when you have a backer pad, will allow you to keep the machine flat, especially when you're using smaller drive pads like this. There's a 3-inch dry pad and a 5-inch dry pad. That brings me to the dry pads. Let me talk about the dry pads a little bit. We use a lot of drive plates, different drive plates, but the ones I like the best are the NSI backers. These are quick change. So you basically have this little snail lock, and they fit right in here on your machine. They fit right in here, and they lock in. And then when you need to pull them off, you just kind of like hold it and pop them open. Sometimes you have to put a little bit of pressure here to pop them, because sometimes they get stuck and then the whole thing comes off. But that's okay, because these there's also a 7-inch. So I have 3, 4, 5, and 7. All my crews have 3, 4, 5, and 7. And probably not so much the 4s. 4s are mainly for granite polishing and granite face polishing, and not everybody does that. But everybody definitely has 3, 5, and the 7. I don't have the 7 pictured because I'm not going to be using it today. Another thing that I use a lot of, and that's to get around fixtures. I don't have any fixtures shown here. That's to get around fixtures, though. When you're running a machine, you want to make sure that you don't damage the fixtures. Let me put these polishing powders aside here. You want to make sure that you're not damaging the fixtures. So you're going to mask them, obviously, but then you got to get between them. To do that, I like to use, this is kind of like a hack, like a life hack or whatever, a stone hack. You can run diamonds between the fixtures. See that? Now, the diamond is super, they're flexible. They're not going to be super rigid on the fixture. Another drive plate that I really like, and I use a lot of, is the no-spin backer. No-spin backer is really cool, because when it's running against a wall, it's going to, this piece here is going to touch the wall, and the rest of the backer is going to be spinning. So if you have a diamond that's spinning on the bottom of the backer and it's running along the wall, it's going to get that close to the wall without, sorry if you can't see that close to the wall without damaging the wall. This tool also comes with a shroud that can be applied. It's kind of a hassle to put the shroud on, but it's totally worth it, because that shroud has, it kind of encases the diamond, and it'll run right up against the fixture. Actually, I invented this tool years ago, and we actually did it. Cameron DeMille and I worked on it, and we actually did it because I damaged a fixture. It was a cheap fixture. It's only like 80 bucks, but I just had to find something that would prevent that. So this tool, in a shower, I damaged it in a shower. This tool works around fixtures very well in a shower. Gets all the way up to edges and corners and things like that. We're going to talk about counters today, but we're talking about handwork. So handwork goes both ways, always, really. So let's get into it now. This is a pretty easy to polish stone for most people. I'm going to work on the entire piece today. I'm going to be doing a couple of different demos for you, so that we can fully understand how to use these polishing powders. Because some of these polishing powders are wet to dry. Some of these polishing powders are wet. So the wet polishing powders are typically MB22, 5X. Although, depending on the brand, many 5Xs can be used wet to dry. Go ahead and pop in here. So this right here is this is muriatic acid. It came out of this jug here, muriatic acid. I just bought it from Home Depot. I wanted to show you guys exactly what happens with acid when acid touches the surface. You can kind of hear it now, but you can see it just foaming and foaming. Now, you don't want it to go too crazy, because when you have a vanity, you're not going to have muriatic acid touching it. You're going to have things like perfumes and toothpaste and things like that touching it. So let's remove it You can kind of see it. You'll see the difference in color. You can also hear, I don't know if you can hear that, but that's smooth, that's rough. I'm going to do, let's see, I'm going to do it right here just so you can see it a little bit better. Put a little bit there. Yeah. I'm going to put a couple more dots, you know, throughout this thing. Okay. Smoky. So you could see that it was shiny. Now it's not. Now that that acid now, it didn't take much. Look, I mean, we're talking about a tiny bit. It didn't take much. It immediately reacts, and it reacts violently. So when a homeowner is using, and this by the way, this surface was sealed. Sealed many times. This is a demo piece that I used to train my technicians. So this surface probably was sealed 30 times. So sealer, it's important. Sealer does not prevent etching. I'm going to put another glove on here. Sealer does not prevent etching. Now there are certain sealers that, or they're not really considered sealers, they're more like coatings that will prevent etching. But conventional sealers used in the marketplace will not. So, and etches are the reason why companies like mine, the SureShine Service Network and SureShine exist. Let me put my, yeah. The SureShine Service Network and SureShine exist because we remove etches on marble countertops. We remove etches on marble floors, travertine floors, and limestone floors. So if you are searching through the service network, or searching for a, it's SureShineServiceNetwork.com, or searching for a contractor that is performing, you know, what you want to perform marble restoration or marble polishing, you're going to do that. He's going to be an expert at removing etches on marble countertops. And this stream is really aimed towards people that are doing the work. But if you're watching this later on and you need somebody, the SureShine at SureShineServiceNetwork.com is a great resource, and you're going to find some great people there. Now, when you remove when you're removing etches, when etches need to be removed, you can't just polish the surface. We can't just use, you know, we could use something like oxalic acid or MB12. To get a shine out of the surface, but it's not going to fully remove this big etch right here. It's not going to fully remove this. Now, what will remove it, and what you need to do to remove it, is to refinish it. And that we're going to do a light refinishing here. Now, it's important also to understand that if you're just trying to elevate the shine of a marble countertop, maybe you don't have a ton of etches, maybe you don't have lots of problems, it's just dull. Now that dullness can be polished. You can just polish a marble countertop. You can use MB12, the caliber, you can use 5X, you can use a lot of things to bring a marble countertop back to life. It's not going to fully remove some of those deeper etches, but the customer will get will get value from those services. So let me go ahead and do a light refinishing here. I'm going to take I'm going to take a 220 and a 400 and an 800 diamond to it. Now it's really key here when you're doing if you have these diamonds, these are MB Stone Care 5-inch marble diamonds. If you have these diamonds and they're brand new, it's super important to, some people don't believe it is, but I believe it's super important to open them up. Now I've already opened these up. I've opened the 220 and the 400 and the 1800, but I want to show you how I open the 800 just real quick. It won't take a minute here. So basically what you do is you take a piece of sandpaper. This is 180 grit, and so I don't know if you can see how close the how shiny the sandpaper is. You can see that, right? Well, that's because there's resin on the surface, resin encasing those diamonds. So for us to get at those diamonds, have those diamonds work right the first time, all I like to do is I like to hit it. I like to remove that kind of like that top layer. Now it's done. That's ready. Now you could, if you were worried about grit, you could rinse them off, but it's not really necessary. So now let's do a quick refinishing. We're just going to refinish this middle area where the acid was. When you're working around a sink, no matter where you are, you want to make sure that you get the middle of the pad. You get the middle of the pad on this edge. So basically, like that part of you want to make sure you're working the middle of the pad on the edge. The reason for that is because the outside edge of the pad doesn't really cut as much as the middle, and you're going to end up with scratches along here, and that's pretty common. I see that a lot, where even a newly refinished countertop has scratches. And when I come in and I have my technicians working, I remind them, make sure that you get the center of the pad on this edge, because if you don't, I'm going to see scratches and you're going to have to redo it. I'm going to redo this side real quick. So that's like 4 times up and down and back and forth. That's plenty. Now, it's important though, if you're going to be doing this in a home, there's a couple of things you have to watch out for, and you should probably take notes on this. But when you're working, and you can see this, when you're working, if this is a wall, you don't have any scratches or etches along the wall to take care of, work up to the wall. We'll hit 220 about here, and then 400, then 800. You can do 800 on this stone, you can do 800 right up to the wall. Sometimes you want to, like on a more sensitive stone, you'll do 1800. There's not a lot of those sensitive stones. You're going to do 70 to 80% of your work on a stone just like this. This will be like a Crema Marfell or a travertine. This is Diana Real. It's a really nice marble. And you're going to get most of your jobs on stones like this. But if you're that's to say, if you're working at 220 and then 400 and then 800, you're going to work your way up to the wall. Okay, you can even do it like that. You just want to make sure, and the reason for that is because the 400, you want to make sure you take the scratches out from the 220. So each of these grits is going to take the scratches out from the prior grit. And this is an 1800 pad. We don't have to use it. I'm just going to use it on one section. I just want you to see how it works. Now, I know this is kind of turning into a little bit more of a refinishing demonstration, but you also have to know how to do this. If you're in a home, the main thing here is I wanted you to know how easy it is to use diamonds. I mean, we got all the etches out just now, and it took like 5 minutes. A counter like this might take you 45 minutes, maybe 50 minutes, something like that total. After you're masking. So It just, I mean, with diamonds. Now with other stuff, I can't say. I mean, there's a lot of like pads out there, diamond impregnated pads out there. People like espousing all this stuff. You know, I know for a fact, because I've done it. A countertop like this, even a more sensitive countertop like this, I personally can do 8 of these in 8 hours and have a lunch. And I've done that many times because we've been working in hotels. And we just get ready, we have everything we need, and we're in and out, and it's beautiful. So you can do it too in a home, and customers will love you. So just so you guys know, this is kind of like a one-time free live stream, and then we're going to be this will be downloaded and put inside StoneCare EDU. So if you ever want to watch this again, you can always watch it in StoneCare EDU under the marble countertop polishing section. Okay, so I'm going to switch to the other angle, and then I'm going to do 400 and 800. Now when you see me doing 400, I'm going to be doing some work down here and here. I just want to make sure that, because I didn't put any acid here and here, but I just want to make sure that we cover the entire area, so that when we're polishing, we have sections to polish with the different polishing powders that we're going to use. You know, so that you can see the differences. So I'm going to go ahead and work the entire area now. Now this is the Makita, and I'm working it on 1. I don't have it turned up. One of the reasons why I like it on 1, it's super easy to control, but also it doesn't splash the water. It keeps the water on the counter. You can see I'm working around the bowl. Now we have the luxury of not having the faucets here, so if I had the faucets here, I'd be working, and I'd want to feather into the faucets, and I would be using my 3-inch pad with my extension. See, I'm pushing the masking out so I can work the front of the counter, that edge of the counter with the center of my pad. I'm going to add a little bit of water here. So when you're running the pad, the machine, when you're running the machine at low speed, you can work two-handed. You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to keep throwing water all over the place. Okay, I may have done 400 a little bit too much there, but I think you get the idea of where we're coming from. I'm just going to go ahead and wipe that off now. A squeegee in these really helps, especially if you have a real sink in the center. I don't like to throw the slurry down the sink, but what I do is I put a towel in right in the center there, and I just basically put the towel in, and I throw the slurry. I just put it like right there, and then I throw the slurry into the center of the sink, and then I'll just wipe it with the towel. But what happens is later, as you can clean the sink with the same towel and just run a lot of water down the sink. Now, slurry in the sink is not going to be a bad thing as long as you're running the water and you're getting and you're cleaning the bowl. But you would never want to put anything else down. I've had competitors and other people kind of like and customers complaining about like lots of acid or lots of like even grout down into the sink. So this is 800. We'll just run 800 the same way we ran 400. So the diamonds are super forgiving. I mean, if you don't run exactly the right number of passes all the time, you're still going to get a great shine. The key is making sure that you remove the scratches and the etches on the first grit. Run your first grit enough, the following grits are going to be super easy. Alright, so that was 800. I have 1800 here. Let me show you what like we might do on 800. After 800 around the fixtures, you just kind of like do this, and I just run super slow around the fixtures. Well, there's usually going to be like a faucet here, so I can't get under there. What you would do is you'd kind of like work your way in, and then by hand with the 5X or oxalic etch, sometimes the faucet even takes up a lot of space. You got this flange here, so play it by ear when it comes to the faucets. Take your time around those faucets. Okay, I'm just going to do 1800 real quick. Now with 1800, you don't have to use as much water. So you want to use a lot of water on the white marbles. And many times on the white marbles, you might even want to go to 3500 just to make it a little easier to polish. White marbles can have like a crystalline appearance, like a sugary texture. So they will polish from a lower grit, but it takes a lot more time. And you got to subject them to a lot more, you know, like really beat them up with the polishing powder. The higher you take it in the grits, the better, because it takes a lot less time to polish with the polishing powder. Now here we are with a countertop now. Basically it would be a dull countertop. I mean, 1800 isn't necessarily dull. Sorry, I think I may have run out of battery on that. 1800 isn't necessarily dull, but let me just change the battery real quick. Like you just be able to see that angle, super important. Okay. All right. So, now it's dry, and we have a really nice shine from an angle, right? See that? That's your shine. Now, you have a pretty decent shine probably from the other angle as well. You can kind of see the shine here. I don't know if I can zoom in on that, but I don't want to zoom in too much. But that's going to give you, so the 1800 is going to give you a really nice finish. Yeah. A really nice finish, where you're going to be able to see the light bulbs at the surface. Now it's time to polish. Now what are we going to polish it with? Now with this stone you have many options. First of all, I don't know if you saw my last video. It's kind of long, but it's about the sorry, it's about the, let's change, sorry. The last video was about granite polishing, and this one, it did talk about the use of white pads versus hog's-hair pads, and what I like typically, just in my career, I've been doing this since 1987, I've used white pads almost exclusively. Now there has been times when I've wanted to use a hog's hair pad, and I know there are a lot of people that love hog's hair pads, but I think that white pads provide me a better finish. Now the reason why, I don't say better finish, let's say it's not a better finish, let's say it's a faster finish. Now we're all looking for the same finish, the highest quality possible. But the white pad is going to give us a faster finish, I think. And the reason why is because the white pad is more abrasive, has more friction. It's less abrasive, it's smoother. So the polishing powder kind of gets caught up in there, and you can use it longer, and you can use it for a longer period of time, but it actually polishes in a shorter period of time. And that's my opinion. I might be wrong. I mean, there's been a lot of hog's hair fans out there that have gotten some great finishes, and they're happy with it, and they're happy with the finish, and they're happy with the speed, and I'm okay with that too. So if you like hog's hair, that's fine. Use it. Use it in the same way I would use this. Use it with the white pad. You might be able to use it longer. That's the benefit of hog's hair. You can use it a little longer without burning the surface. So let's start with the MB12, because MB12 is going to give us immediate results, and it's like the tiniest, you use the tiniest amount. So now normally what I'm going to recommend when you're dry polishing, set this aside, when you're dry polishing, is to use a mask, because dry polishing, even though you're using a very small amount of powder, you are putting some dust in the air. And if you're doing marble, if you're doing a lot of marble countertops, you're going to want to make sure that you wear a mask, protect yourself. Now I'm not talking about like a big dust, I'm not like the vapor mask, I'm just talking about a dust mask, something like that, N95 or whatever. We're all familiar with masks now. So let's do a polish. I'm going to do a quick polish like right here, okay? And I'm you know what, maybe I'll do it on the other side so you can kind of see, because this is going to be pretty easy side to polish with wet, because I already have it set up with the masking on this side. I don't have much masking, so I'm going to be doing dry. Okay, this is so let's just do a small section here. Okay, you're going to use a small amount. I just call it like a pinch. All right, and the way MB12 works, MB12 caliber works, is it builds up in your pad, and you're actually able to use the pad. Eventually, you're able to use the pad just to polish. You want a tiny bit of water. Now, that's a little bit more. Now, a lot of people on the stone restoration page have complained about MB12. And I think the biggest problem is they're using either too much water or too much MB12. You start very slow. Just work it in. You could always use more MB12. You don't need it. You can see how the shine is just popping. It's not quite polished enough. It's not quite polished enough, but I want to show you what's on the pad. See how it builds into the pad? It really didn't. You didn't use it all on the stone. And maybe I have the better angle is this one. You didn't use it all on the stone. It's still on the pad. Now it's not enough just to use the pad now. It's not enough just to use the pad now, but it is something. It's just a proof that MB12 kind of gets into the pad, and pretty soon your pad has just become a polishing pad. Don't throw these away. This pad might last a couple of months. You might be able to do 50 counters with it. It might be an exaggeration, but I save all my pads, especially my dry pads. You know, if I'm using oxalic acid, if I was to use MB12 with oxalic acid, I probably wouldn't save it, because now I have a hot pad. So, you know, we have to make some adjustments there, but the MB12 will blend in, or I'm sorry, will go into the pad. Let's use a small amount. You can see it's just a little bit. Now you can do, I'm doing a small area here. You can do a much larger area, about a foot to 2 feet at a time. I just want to make sure we have enough space to do some of the other powders as well. Okay, so we're getting good now. Let's do a little bit more. Okay. Same thing goes when you're polishing on the edges around the sinks. You want to make sure that the center of your pad is working the edge around the sink as well as the front. You always want to concentrate your efforts on those edges so that the edges don't look any different than the center. Now you're going to lose some, almost always you'll lose some of the polishing powder in the sink. That's okay. I'll typically run the water for a while while I'm polishing, just to make sure that I'm not getting too much grit down in that sink so that it sits in the trap. We don't want that to happen. All right, so now we have a beautiful shine from here to here, right? Let's see if I can lift this. So you can kind of see the depth. Yeah, probably have to do that edge a little bit more. But see how you have this beautiful depth and clarity up here. Now that's a skylight. That's a light. That's a halogen light with four lights, and then you got a skylight right here as well. So there you go. That's your MB12. It's as simple as that. Now look at the pad. We got a, sorry, I'm not going to show you that pad there. Look at the pad. Now it's getting a lot more loaded up. We're going to keep that. You know, I mean, it would get more loaded up if you were to do this entire piece. But I also want to show you the easy polish. So I have another white pad for that. Now, you know, I'm sorry, I should have had those layers up there. So here's some notes. MB12 wet to dry, very key. And the next one we're going to do is the MB22 easy polish, and that one is wet at low speed. And typically, what I like to talk about when it comes to wet sanding or wet polishes with MB12. With MB12, it was less is more, like a lot less. You don't need much at all. You want to let the material build up in your pad. Use a tad bit of water, burn it off. If you need to use a little bit more water, you can do it again. Each time you do it, you're going to get a better shine, especially on Cream Marfel, travertine, a lot of other materials. If you take the diamonds up enough, or even if you don't use diamonds, you're going to get great results with MB12. But if you take the diamonds up enough to 1800 maybe, it's going to be a super smooth finish. The MB12 is going to pop it so fast. So that's a great polish. Now when you're running wet, now that would be with the easy polish or the 5X. when you run a wet, more is more. More is more. Anyways, you want to. I'm going to do this corner up here. I'm going to do this corner up here. So, right here. This is going to be our wet polishing side. I'll do like something over here with 5X or something like that. It's important to know it's just the mechanics of the thing. When it comes to dry polishing, wet polishing, dry polishing, it's the same mechanics. So if you work, we're going to work the MB22. You do the 5X in the same way. Now, some stones require more passes. That's why that squeegee is really key. I don't really have a squeegee, but I think I do have a squeegee. Pardon me. Okay, sorry about that. Squeegees are key. So when you're running wet, you can just squeegee a little bit the material a little bit over to the side. Look at it. Do you have enough depth? Do you have enough clarity? Do you have enough color? Are you done? If you squeegee it to the side and you think you can do better, put a little water down or spray a little water down, excuse me, and then run a few more passes, squeegee it again. If it gets better, then do it a little bit more. You want to make sure that you don't overdo it. You can overdo all these polishes, and when you overdo them, you can burn the surface a little, or you can orange peel it a little bit. So the key here is knowing when to stop. That's why the easy polish is so good, because it's very forgiving. Some of the times 5X's can be super hot. The one I have here is not super hot. It's a lot like the easy polish, but it's a little bit more abrasive, and so it gives you a nice clean looking finish. Same as this. All right, so we're going to do this area here in the bottom part of the countertop. And like I said, more is more. So this is plenty to do many countertops, but you're going to want to. That's a little too much for that. I know that looks like a lot, and I probably would do the entire countertop with this, but I don't. For me, it doesn't matter. Excuse me, powder. It doesn't matter if I'm doing 10 square feet. I'm talking about a floor now. If I'm doing 10 square feet or 100 square feet, I can usually do, say 75 to 80 square feet at one time with 5X on a floor. I use the same amount whether I'm doing 10, I'm doing a small bathroom, or 75 or 80. I know it could be a little bit messy with the 10, but what it does is it activates itself in the same way. I use the same amount of 5X. Typically, I don't like flood the area, but I use the same amount of water in relation to the 5X so that I'm getting a nice creamy consistency, and then that I work it until I see the shine. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So you're going to use a lot more water. I like to squirt the water right in the center, and then I squirt the water around. And sometimes you can have like a sponge or something to kind of like help you clean the edges and stuff like that. We're working at 1, and when you're working wet with the Makita, you're going to work clockwise. Why is that? Because clockwise is going to give you the best. Clockwise is going to make sure that the slurry stays in the center. You're not flinging it. If you work counterclockwise, everything is going to be pushed to the outside. So when you work clockwise with the Makita, because the Makita spins in a clockwise direction, you're going to make sure that you don't move, you don't throw the slurry everywhere. You can see that it's all kind of staying on the counter. It's not going. I mean, I do have a little bit on the floor over there, but it's a warehouse, so what can I do? Now, when it comes to the 5X or it comes to the easy polish, what you're trying to do here, the MB22, what you're trying to do here, you're not really counting passes. You're just working it until you feel like you're done. But if you wanted to count passes, you could do like 10 passes each way and circles. Making sure that you're overlapping all the edges and corners. Now, see that? You hear the machine? I'm actually not even. I'm using the trigger now. It's not even at 100% at 6. So when I was triggering it up, I was just trying to keep it slow. That's at 1 now. Okay, how are we looking? See? I just want you to see the pad. Let me show you the pad here. The pad has a bunch of 5X on it. I'm sorry, the MB22 Easy Polish. And there's a big chunk of it right there. Let me get rid of this. There's a big chunk of it right there. See? Now what I'd like to do is I just take it, I put it right back on the pad here. When I squeegee this aside, I'm looking for clarity, I'm looking for depth, I'm looking for a nice shine. Hold on here. We're not getting the, there. That's what we're looking for. It's pretty much done. I have a nice tight looking finish. I'm not sure if you can see it from there. Nice tight looking finish. And good clarity. You can see each one of these LEDs. So now you don't want to leave it sitting here, right? So what we're going to do is you want to run it a little bit more. You want to loosen everything up, get everything nice and wet again. Run it a little bit more. Now, since we're running wet, I probably should have talked a little bit about the fixtures here. You're going to want to put water between the fixtures so that the splashing, I don't know if you can see the splashing. So that splashing, the spatter marks, little bits here. Even though you're running in clockwise motion, those spatter marks can, they're hot. So you're basically, you have a acidic liquid that you're pushing into a dry area, and you want to make sure that you don't allow that to dry. So you want to make sure that you put water between those fixtures. You can also put a damp rag there. Because when you're running between the fixtures, you can do the same thing outside. So let's see if we have a. That's a beautiful finish. Okay. Let's see if I can zoom in on that. Yeah. So the depth and clarity came out quick on that, and we did this. We did that with 220, 400, 800, and 1800. Now this surface had a lot of scratches in it prior to too. All those scratches are gone. Okay. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to clean it right away. It's not such a bad thing with the MB22. That's why I like to have the water running. You want to clean it right away and get rid of any residues. You know, just get all the corners and edges. Get rid of any residues. This is a clean rag, by the way. All right. Now when you seal that, you're going to seal it with an impregnator. We talked about sealers last week. I like to seal with a white pad. Seal that with an impregnator. This material is not going to take a lot of sealer, honestly. So you seal it with an impregnator, and then you can use Ultimate or Finishing Touch. My guys love the Ultimate. Whoops, because it's like a silicone. It just makes it super smooth. All right, so now let's look at polishing with oxalic acid. I just want to show you how quick it is. I only have 2 white pads, so I'm going to use the same white pad I use with the MB12. So we might get some of the benefits of the MB12 as well. So let me show you this. There's not much. Oh, there's a bit of a shine there. You just can't see the shine from down into it. So you can't see that shine very well, but use a little bit of oxalic acid right here. So basically you're going to run it just like you would the MB12. I think it's a little bit faster. MB12 has some abrasives in it that really give you a nice pop though. So it's one of those things that you just got to decide which way you want to go. When you have the finish already kind of polished to 1800, the pure oxalic is going to really give you a quick shine. Now you can see I just use a little bit more water than I did with MB12 because the oxalic has to go into solution. So you polish that the same way, and one thing about that's very similar between the two polishes is once the streaks are dry on the surface, can't see, I don't know if you can see those. Once the streaks are dry on the surface, can't really see. Nope, sorry, can't get you there. I'll have to do this again sometime to show you. both the MB12 and the 5X on the oxalic. But once those streaks are dry on the surface, you can just wipe them right off with a dry rag or even your finger, because the streaks are not going to be acidic once they're dry. Once you've polished all the water off of it, you're not going to have any more acid. So just a quick, I still use a damp rag, and I immediately dry it, and then you have a nicely polished finish. I'll bet I can get you there here. There you go. See it? So if you recall, this was the MB22 side, and then this was the oxalic acid. I just did this section here with oxalic acid, and this is the MB12. So each one of these is giving you the kind of results that we're all looking for. It's not like one is better than the other. It's important, though, for you to have, in my opinion, it's important for you to have all of them. Maybe not so much the oxalic acid. I just wanted to show you that because that was the first thing I ever polished with, honestly. I mean, we did a lot of crystallizing on floors and stuff, but the oxalic acid was the first thing I ever polished with. And I got really good at it just using oxalic acid, sometimes mixing it with a little bit of tin oxide or something like that. But if you get the surface to the smooth profile with the diamonds, you're going to get a beautiful finish no matter what you use. MB22, MB12 caliber, MB22 easy polish, oxalic acid 5X, Stone Pro products, Diamond Renew, and their 5X. They have an EMP. There's a lot of great polishes out there. It's really key to know that not all of them work in all the situations, but if you get your profile, what I mean is the smoothness of the stone correct, you're going to get results from almost all of them. They're going to be the same. Okay, it's just what do you like to use. So it's really it was really I talked a little bit about some things, and I didn't even add some of these cool things I had, but it's okay. If there's any questions, or if you have any concerns or problems, you can always contact me at ted@sureshineservicenetwork.com. If you're looking for somebody in your area, go to sureshineservicenetwork.com. You will find terrific people that are part of a network of people that we all talk to each other, we all train each other, we all care about each other. This is not like a list. It's not some of these other review sites. These are people that are vetted and have years of experience. Okay, so let us know if there's anything else you'd like to see. We'd be happy to talk about them. I have some plans on some refinishing stuff and granite polishing, and talking about some machinery, talking about I have this cool kit. What's in my kit? What do you take? How to mask, all these things. A lot of that's available already at stonecareedu.com in the master class. It's $59.99. It's my opinion, it's the cheapest form of training you could possibly get. MB Stone Care has a hands-on class. MB Stone Professional has a hands-on class in North Carolina. Go to mbstonepro.com to check that out. I used to teach the West Coast version at Easy Stone Care, so I know how good it is. And if you're on Stone Care EDU, if you take the master class, it's going to give you that much more of a head start. So they're not one or the other. They work in conjunction with each other. So if you got any value from this video, please like it, please subscribe, please share it. You know, I'm going to leave it up for a couple of days, and then it's going to go behind the paywall at stonecareedu.com. So those that have actually invested in their future with me have a benefit to that, because it's important that we share our knowledge, but it's also important that we make sure that the people that are invested in it get the most value. You understand? Hopefully you do. Anyways, I appreciate you very much, and take care.